Hi, I'm Claire Chiappetta. Welcome to the Cactex Media Podcast. Joining us is Daniel Ringhauser. Daniel serves on the Public Education Committee with the North Central Texas Council of Governments and is heading up a campaign to promote knowwhattotdo.com, a website that provides information on preparing for disasters. You can learn tips on how to make a hazard plan and build an emergency supply kit. Daniel is also the Assistant Emergency Manager Coordinator for the City of Grand Prairie, Texas. Welcome, Daniel Ringhauser, to the Cactex Media Podcast. It's great to see you here today.
Great to be here.
Come out in a little bit of rain today, huh?
Yeah, it's going to be raining all week.
Yes. So, Daniel, what is the North Central Texas Council of Governments, and what does it do?
The North Central Texas Council of Governments, or I'll just refer to as the COG, make it a little bit easier for us, is a voluntary association of local governments that was established to assist locals in planning for common needs and coordination for regional development and regional type projects. So it's really meant to strengthen the relationship and coordination between local jurisdictions, counties, special districts like school districts, and different stuff like that. Now, the North Central Texas COG covers 16 different counties in North Texas. So the main hub, obviously, is here in the DFW Metroplex, but it goes all the way out east and west and north and south of us. There's over 230 members, and everybody who is a part of the COG will pay annual dues into it. So the COG is really made up of all of these jurisdictions and special districts into it. So a lot of people think the COG is its standalone entity that kind of resides over jurisdictions. That's not the case. It's actually made up of these local jurisdictions.
And the interesting part about this is, talk about your role, because you do have a full-time job with one of the cities here in North Central Texas.
I do, yes. So I'm the Assistant Emergency Manager Coordinator for the City of Grand Prairie. And so we pay dues into the Emergency Preparedness Program for the COG. So the COG has a couple different departments: emergency preparedness, transportation, aging services, economic development, and a few other ones. And we pay our dues into the emergency preparedness one. Now, within emergency preparedness, we have a number of different committees that make up this department. So specifically, I'm the chair of the Public Education Committee, and we try to take a regional approach to helping people prepare for disasters. So that could be making programs for people. It could be purchasing materials for local emergency managers to help start their programs, presentations. I mean, you name it, we try to hit some of those stuff.
Yeah, and it sounds like, you have been busy lately, right?
Yeah.
Because of the pandemic and so much happening here. We had a major tornado in 2019 that took out, an area of a very residential section of Dallas. So, I'm sure your committee has, really seen the need to really have people prepared. You guys came up with this idea, and you branded it Know What to Do. It's a project. There is a website out there that you can visit. It's knowwhattotdo.com, but it's got a little twist because the know what to do, that's share of the W, so it's KNOWHAT, then the number 2, DO.com, a little tricky there. But why did you guys come up with that campaign, and tell me a little bit about it?
Yeah, so the Know What to Do program and campaign initiative, whatever you want to call it, is our attempt to regionalize and kind of have a single lesson plan for public education and disaster preparedness. So if you live in Fort Worth and I live in Grand Prairie and I go see the Grand Prairie Emergency Manager present and they say, well, you should only have 2 cans of food in your preparedness kit. And you go see the Fort Worth Emergency Manager, they say you should have 3 cans in your preparedness kit. We meet up. Now we're going to start bickering back and forth on how many cans should we have, and that's not the point, right? We just want you to be prepared for disasters. So the Know What to Do campaign is our attempt to just regionalize public education and push out the same message, give out the same materials across it, have the same look, right? So anybody in the world can visit the Know What to Do website, which is by far one of our most successful programs that we have, Public Education Committee. It's a website that's won awards. It's a website that people all across the world, not just North Texas, have viewed and have used our materials. And there's a number of different things that we have on there. So you can just go on there and just simply learn about, how to prepare, how to recover from disasters. You can go on there and make your own kit. or make your own plan. We walk you through step by step how to do it, and you can print it out at the very end. Super easy. You can even play interactive games with kids on there. We really try to take as much as we possibly can and put it on that website for you.
Your role in this was really, you're now the manager. You can define it, your role.
Yeah, so the committee every year votes on a chair and co-chair to kind of lead the group and where we're going to go. And so I was just recently elected as the chair of the Public Education Committee, and before I was the co-chair. So we've really tried to step up, branching out into the community and trying to get this information out to people, simply because we're in a time where it seems like every other day there's a new disaster, right? We even had disasters within disasters. We had the snowstorm in the middle of COVID. I mean, people's attention are on disasters right now. We have to capitalize on that and show people that it's easy to prepare for disasters. It's really not that difficult.
Yeah, it's just been amazing here in North Texas. Really, the amount of different, I don't know, I guess you call them disasters. When you live with them, you want a stronger word than that, right? But it has been sort of astounding what we've gone through just in the last 3 years. Again, that tornado that went right through the center of Dallas, and then the storms. And, it used to be May was, you knew the storms were going to come in May, but now it seems like you can get really bad weather news at any time of the year.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that there's actually 2 severe weather seasons. Now, of course, severe weather can happen any time of year, but the 2 most active are the springtime, which is what we typically think of, tornado season and severe weather season, which is what we're in now. But there's actually one in October, kind of in that fall time frame as well, where we see an uptick in severe weather. And we saw that in 2019 with the Dallas tornado, and back in 2014, I think, whenever the tornado went through Garland on the day after Christmas. So, it's really important for people to understand that you have to prepare for the whole year and not just the time that you think a disaster is going to happen, because you never know when it's going to strike.
Talk a little bit about how we should prepare, and in really specifically about what kind of kits we should have at home.
So I'd say the first thing and the most important thing about being prepared is you have to stay aware of what's happening around you. So I'll just use the weather as an example, since it's the most pertinent thing right now. If you know that weather's coming in, or you hear on the news that there's supposed to be severe weather, you have to hone in onto that. And you have to download an app or contact your local emergency manager and see if they have a reverse notification system that you can sign up for and receive weather alerts. Because you could prepare, you can make the best kit in the world, have the number one plan that anyone's ever seen, but it doesn't matter if you don't know what's happening. So the first step is always, always, always have some way to be warned about severe weather or disaster. Watch the news, have an app that tells you something's happening. I mean, something so you know how to start preparing and start, getting your kit together.
And then what's in my kit?
So that really depends on how you live your life, right? So a lot of people, we have a general guideline of, you want to have a gallon of water per person, per day for 48 to 72 hours. Canned food, flashlights, batteries, extra money, stuff like that. But your kit is going to be different between everybody. So, for example, my kit, I won't have as much food and water into it, because if there's a disaster, I have to go into work, right? So my kit has extra clothes in there. It has a blanket and a pillow if I have to sleep in my office, some snacks that I like, extra phone charger and stuff like that. Now, your kit might be a little different. If there's a disaster, you're supposed to stay home, right? So you might want to have more food, more water, more batteries, things like that. I'd say the number one thing that everybody should always put in their kit, though, is a list of the medication that you take and how much you take. So now, if there's a huge disaster, let's just say in the city of Grand Prairie, we have to evacuate people out of their home. Chances are that we'll be able to find food and water somewhere in the region, right? We have a pretty big reach and a pretty big region. What we can't help you do is get you medication if you don't know what medication you take. A lot of people just been taking it for years. They always take this amount at this time, and they completely forget what it is. So if you come to me and you say, well, I take insulin, I need insulin. Well, what kind? How many, how much do you need to take? And if you don't know that information, then it's a whole lot harder for us to get you that help. So that's a huge thing. All your documents that you need, your driver's license, Social Security, just take a copy, put it in a sealed bag with your medication, and keep that in your kit, because that's going to help you out way, way more.
I always wondered Daniel, where do you keep this kit? That's the big question, right? Because if, a tornado comes through, that kit's gone.
Yeah.
But I'm curious where you recommend putting the kit.
Sure. And this depends, too, a little bit on how you want to prepare for disasters. So a lot of people will make a kit and they'll just keep it in like their bathroom or their closet where they go for severe weather if their tornado's coming through. And that way, if they need to go in there, they can just pull out of the cabinet and they can have it with them. Some people make a kit for their vehicle and their home. Some people like to keep their kit in their vehicle because maybe they travel a lot. You just fit your lifestyle to how you want to prepare. So it's really not that expensive. A lot of people think that it's just really expensive, and it can be if you want to buy, the top-notch generator and this and that. But if you go to the store, say every other week, and you buy 2 cans of food, just extra on the side. I mean, it's only $1, $2 or so that you're spending extra every time you go to the store, and you can just build your stockpile of canned goods or of water or of a battery or flashlight, whatever it may be that you want in your kit. So you can really spread those costs out throughout the year. And the hope, obviously, is you don't have to use it, but, if you do, then you have all that stuff already prepared, and you don't even have to worry about it.
One of the things I've noticed as a transplanted Northeasterner is that I hear your message loud and clear. I didn't grow up with this kind of weather patterns, so I don't want to say I'm more aware, but I definitely, may get, just a little more anxious, perhaps. Yeah. I notice North Texans really take it in stride. So I'm curious, who do you have the hardest time sort of hearing that message? Do you get resistance from people who have lived here all their lives against, this preparedness message?
Definitely. And, I don't know 100% why North Texans hate preparing for disasters. I think that's probably a blanket thing across the country, across the world, that people just don't enjoy preparing for disasters. And it's scary, right? You don't want to think about a tornado ripping through your neighborhood or a flood or a terrorist attack or any of that stuff. It's definitely scary. It comes down to is that preparing for a disaster, whatever disaster it may be, will save your life, your family's life. It'll make it 10 times easier to recover afterwards. It's a no-brainer, at least to me, and I don't know why it's not a no-brainer to anybody, that preparing is easy and it's going to help you out in the long term. I think in North Texas we get what's called warning fatigue quite often. Whenever a storm system comes through, most of the time there's 50,000 severe thunderstorm warnings that get released for one storm just because it's so severe, I mean, it's crazy. So I think people just get hung up on that. Oh, another severe thunderstorm warning. Oh, we're in a watch. Oh, or tornado, it's not going to hit my house and stuff like that. At the end of the day, though, it comes down to if it does hit your house, I mean, it's a big deal, and you want to be prepared for that moment because, like I said before, it's going to help you to prepare now for when that disaster hits later.
One of the things when you go to the Know What to Do website that really, may surprise you is, yes, it tells you how to prepare for storms and bad weather, but talk about some of the other things that, we've only had to deal with, really in the last 10, 20 years that have become more an issue for people, living here, but also all over.
Yeah.
Talk about the other things on the site.
So the Know What to Do website was built what we call an all hazards approach. So we looked at all the different hazards that could happen in the DFW area, and we try to pick the ones that are most likely and put them on the website. So, of course, we have severe weather, and we always talk about it because it's kind of the easiest on people's mind. We also have information on there about epidemics and pandemics, how to prepare for that. We just put coronavirus information on there whenever that kicked off. We have information on there about mass violence, so see something, say something information. We have information on there about house fires and hazardous materials spills. We really try to cover all of the different aspects for you to learn about disasters in the North Texas area. And then once you learn about them, you can learn how to prepare for them afterwards. So we have all types of different information on there, cybersecurity, up-and-coming disasters, things like that. And it's a great resource. It's completely free, like I said before. And if there's one thing I want to emphasize today is that the website and all the resources that we have in the Public Education Committee and the Know What to Do program, completely free for anyone to use. Emergency managers, local officials, teachers, parents, businesses, just the regular Joe on the street, anybody can log on to this website and use all these resources for free. Print them out, play with the games. You can even print out the coloring book that we have, which is a very good coloring book with different activities in there. It's great for kids and stuff like that.
Yeah, and will help parents sort of be able to start the conversation, I think,
Definitely.
when you have something like that. A lot of people may not know that Dallas is listed as one of the nation's top 10 terror targets.
Mm-hmm.
Will you share some safety tips for us on terrorism?
Yeah. DFW is, massive. There's, 7.2 million people in it, whatever. We have a lot of big cities here, and we have a lot of major attractions, right? We have DFW Airport, one of the busiest in the world. We have the stadiums in Arlington. We have, 2 massive downtowns in Fort Worth and Dallas with all the different attractions there. When you think about it, I think it should be the number one terrorist attack because there's so much stuff here, right? That could really
let's not increase our
we'll keep it down at least. Try to stay at number 10 or below.
Exactly.
And emergency managers and public safety officials are really working hard to limit or what we call mitigate some of those threats that we have. So the big kind of issue that we're looking at now is what's called a complex coordinated terrorist attack. And that's similar to what happened in Mumbai, India, where you had a group of people who attacked on this side of the city and a group of people who attacked on that side of the city. So that way resources were spread out. So we're working on how can we work together as a region, right? If something happens in Grand Prairie and in Fort Worth and in Dallas at the same time, how can we work together as a region? And one of the biggest things is we need help from the citizens, right? If you see something, say something. If you think it's suspicious, report to local authorities and let them investigate, right? Don't be the determining factor of, oh, that box sitting there is nothing, it's just trash. Report it to the police department. Have them come out and check it out just to make sure, because you never know. Reporting that could save a lot of people's lives. And I think that's the biggest thing to prepare for in a mass violence incident is you have to stay vigilant around and know if you just feel funny about something, just report it to the local authorities.
Yeah. I know people when they go into airports, they do you become a little bit more aware of looking for things like that. But I don't think people think about it sort of walking in their everyday lives.
Yeah.
How, you really can be eyes and ears for local authorities as you're walking around. And if you do see something, that's a really good point. Daniel, back to the know what to do. We just worked together, didn't we, on preparing a PSA that we hope to get out across North Texas. Really letting people know about the website, letting people know about, this team that is out there preparing for any disaster that might happen. Talk a little bit about the PSA that we just worked on together.
Yeah. So the Public Education Committee, I guess about a year ago or so at this point, got together and we were trying to figure out how can we get the Know What to Do website more prominent in everybody's lives. Whenever we first launched it a while ago, we had a big spike of interest in it with people, logging on and stuff, and it's kind of died down since. We've done some awesome edits. Like I said, we're adding cybersecurity information on there. We're adding recovery information and a whole bunch of other stuff, games, and we want this to be out for everybody. And so we talked about, well, what if we just do a video about it, right? And then blast it out to everybody across, stadiums and, try to get it on the news and to emergency managers to post on Facebook and different stuff like that. And so, we talked about doing, maybe in-house trying to film it with just a few of the emergency managers, but we really want it to be something special and unique that's going to last for, a couple years at least, that we can continuously repost and push out there. So we kind of did a soft push out to everybody on our Facebook page on Know What to Do, and we got amazing feedback so far. Everybody who's seen it has said, "Oh, this is awesome! It's really funny, and I've checked out the website. The website looks cool and stuff like that." So we know that the video is doing its job of getting people interested in preparing for disasters and going to the website and checking it out. And really, that's all we have to do is to get people to prepare. Is if we can just get them on the website and they read some information, even if it's 2 pieces of information on. If you hear outdoor warning sirens go inside, that person is now more prepared than they were before, and that's our goal of the project. So we're really hoping to push it out to a broader audience that it can just be everywhere in DFW. So people, from Fort Worth all the way up to, Denison are all logging on there and checking out what we have.
Right, and it's a public service announcement. It's 30 seconds, and Daniel is actually in it, so we decided to use humor to kind of grab people and let them know about the Know What to Do website. So I hope you look out for it. It's going to go up, I hope, soon on the Know What to Do website. Right now it is on the Facebook page, and hopefully you'll be seeing it soon in stadiums and other entities and venues across North Texas.
Yeah.
Daniel, you also had a really interesting role the last year and a half, maybe just last year actually, during the pandemic. Do you want to talk about what you've been doing? And I guess it's kind of ended, but what you did out at where was it in North Texas, helping people?
Yeah. So, like everybody, we weren't as prepared for a pandemic as we thought we were. And nobody ever thought that this would happen. And that's always the kind of I guess Achilles heel for the disaster management world, the disaster preparedness world, is we weren't prepared for it. And we started out trying to just get a grip on the different orders coming out from, whether it be from the state or the federal government, the CDC, and just trying to manage all of that. And then it got to the point where places were getting shut down, so we were trying to help businesses navigate through some of that and what they could and couldn't do, and then the mask mandate. And it seemed like every day there was a new order or a new guideline coming out. We should be doing this and that. So our role at the very beginning was just try to coordinate some of that information piece and help it make it a little bit easier for everybody. Well, then about halfway through, at the beginning of May, there was a huge need for COVID testing. A lot of people need to get tested for this and that, and they wanted to make sure they didn't have it, and we had the huge spike. So we wanted to catch it early. If you had COVID, get tested immediately. Or if you thought you had to get tested immediately, and then that way you can stay home and limit the spread. So we opened up a COVID testing site in the city of Grand Prairie. We ran that for about 8 months. So that was a city effort for any Grand Prairie resident or anyone who worked within the city limits of Grand Prairie to get tested at our site. And that shut down, and we thought, well, that was wild. That was a long, couple months, but COVID was kind of starting to ramp down. And that was around Christmas time, whenever we were kind of finally starting to sit back and relax. Well, then COVID vaccines started to roll out. So we were tasked with opening up a COVID vaccination center, which we opened up at the theater at Grand Prairie in the Lone Star Park area, right off of Beltline and I-30. And that was a 4-month venture of trying to get as many people vaccinated as we possibly could, pushing out that information and doing that. So it has definitely been an interesting time to be in emergency management, because it just seems like something new will happen, and we just look at each other and we go, I guess we'll figure this one out too, and move on. And of course, there's a winter storm right in the middle of COVID, which kind of threw everything off with the vaccine site and just the efforts in general. So it has been a wild year, to say the least. Yeah,
and Daniel, I think your site was listed as one of the top sites in the country. I mean, it was. I'm on a Facebook page that when I wanted to get the vaccine, it was very helpful, and people would talk about going to your site and how they could get in and out in 6 minutes. They would time themselves, and it was amazing how fast and really the processes you put in place and how you managed to get people in, get people out, and the great work you did. You want to talk a little bit about, you guys were recognized, right?
Yeah. So it was a joint effort between the city of Grand Prairie and city of Irving making this vaccination site. So we knew that it was a huge task, and not one city itself could do quite to the scale that we wanted to. So we have a great relationship with Irving Emergency Management, and both cities have a great partnership just in general. So we decided to go in it together, which I'm so glad we did, because, like I said, there's no possible way we could ever do this by ourselves. So we worked for probably about a month before we officially opened to try to lay out how people were going to come in and get checked in, and they stop here first, sit here, this person does this and that, whatever. And we looked at every single detail because we wanted to make sure that this process was as easy for people as possible. It's scary. This is a scary time, right? Some people are against the vaccine. Some people are a little iffy. Some people are gung-ho about it. And we try to cater to all those people and just make it as easy as possible for them. And that was on the inside. And then we decided, well, we can do more people if we switch to a drive-through on the outside. So we stopped the inside operation about halfway through and switched completely to the outside operation. And we're pushing a whole lot more people throughout the day. And it was a much easier process for the residents to come through and get the vaccine. But I have to say, a lot of praise was given to the emergency management teams for the work that we did, but it was all on the city staff that helped us out. We had staff members from every single department coming to the site to scribe, to check people in, to observe, to make sure if there's any adverse reactions that they could flag down paramedics, to just flag cars into the right lane. I mean, the city staff from both Grand Prairie and Irving, it was amazing.
And you also took volunteers. I had read that if you volunteered for a certain amount of time, you could then jump the line and get the vaccine, and people were volunteering, and you were doing an amazing job training them. I read about that, again, on this Facebook page. People were really reporting on it, and everyone was very, very impressed. So congratulations on that.
Appreciate it.
And I know it's shut down now, and I think there are other sites within Dallas that are still handling it. So I was going to ask you, why did you choose this line of work? What was it about emergency preparedness that attracted you?
So I actually fell into it kind of by accident. My grandfather was a New York City firefighter. So growing up, my brother and I listened to stories about, my grandpa running to burning buildings and, just total awesome guy. And I said, yeah, that is what I want to do when I grow up. And my brother said the exact same thing. He's now an Irving firefighter, so he followed the dream. My parents were very supportive of us, following that dream. They just said, you have to go to college in case anything happens, you have the backup plan. So I was looking for different degree programs and universities, and I saw the emergency administration program, University of North Texas, and I said, well, that looks like firefighting. I could do that pretty easy and then just graduate and go right into firefighting. And about halfway through, I realized that I loved it, right? I mean, just the different aspects. I get to not only deal with fire-specific stuff, but police, public safety, and citywide public safety, whether it be from public works or this and that. I get to really see it all and help everything. So I did an internship. I did a couple internships, actually, and every internship I went to, I loved it even more. And then I ended up getting the full-time position in the city of Grand Prairie, where I've been since.
Terrific. Well, again, congratulations on the amazing job you did with the COVID testing and COVID vaccine on site out there at Lone Star. And everyone, please go to the Know What to Do website. We really encourage you to find out information on being prepared in North Texas. And thanks again, Daniel, for being here today.
I appreciate it.